Some people trip over their own ego and call it a personality. Karen, oh Karen, made that her morning cardio. On a crisp Saturday in Willow Park, where joggers weave through dog walkers and kids chase squirrels, Karen's simmering resentment boiled over into a moment that would define her or destroy her. At 42, she was the self-appointed queen of her cul-de-sac, armed with a sharp tongue and a knack for turning minor slights into full-blown crusades. Today, her target was Mia, a 28-year-old marathon runner whose neon sneakers and effortless confidence grated on Karen like nails on a chalkboard. It started innocently enough, or so it seemed. Mia, ponytail swinging, zipped past Karen on the park's gravel trail, her earbuds blasting a pop anthem. Karen, clutching her overpriced latte, muttered under her breath about entitled millennials who think they own the path. Mia didn't hear her, didn't even glance her way, but that was the spark. To Karen, being ignored was worse than being insulted. She'd spent years perfecting the art of being noticed, whether it was berating a barista for a lukewarm coffee or lecturing neighbors about their lawn care. Mia's indifference was a personal affront, and Karen wasn't about to let it slide. The park was bustling that morning, with families picnicking and cyclists coasting by. Karen, in her pristine white athleisure, never used for actual exercise, quickened her pace to tail Mia. Her eyes narrowed as she watched the younger woman's steady stride, her mind spinning a narrative of disrespect and superiority. Who does she think she is? Karen hissed to herself, her grip tightening on the latte cup until the lid popped off, spilling foam on her sleeve. That was the final straw. She spotted a low-hanging branch just ahead, dangling over the path like a trap waiting to be sprung. An idea petty, reckless, and utterly Karen formed in her mind. As Mia approached the branch, Karen lunged forward, her foot hooking around Mia's ankle with surgical precision. Mia didn't have a chance. Her body lurched, arms flailing, and she crashed face first into a prickly holly bush just off the trail. The crack of branches and Mia's startled yelp cut through the park's morning hum. Heads turned. A dog barked. Karen froze, her face a mix of triumph and panic, as Mia struggled to untangle herself from the shrubbery. Her knees scraped and her cheeks streaked with dirt. "You psycho!" Mia shouted, scrambling to her feet. Her earbuds dangled uselessly, and a thin trickle of blood ran from a scratch on her arm. She stormed toward Karen, who took a step back, her latte now a puddle on the ground. "What is wrong with you?" Mia's voice was raw, her eyes blazing with a mix of shock and fury. The crowd began to gather, joggers slowing their pace, parents shielding their kids' eyes, phones already out to capture the chaos. Karen, cornered by her own impulsiveness, defaulted to her usual defense. Outrage. "Don't you dare talk to me like that," Karen snapped, her voice shrill enough to scatter nearby pigeons. "You nearly ran me over. You think you're so special, prancing around like you own this park." Her words were a flimsy shield, and everyone knew it. Mia, still brushing leaves from her hair, looked ready to lunge, but a burly man in a police uniform pushed through the crowd before things could escalate further. Officer Daniels, a no-nonsense veteran who'd seen his share of park disputes, had been patrolling nearby when the commotion started. "Ma'am, step back," Daniels ordered, his voice calm but firm. He glanced at Mia's disheveled state, then at Karen's defiant posture. "What happened here?" Mia, still catching her breath, recounted the incident, her voice trembling with anger. Karen interrupted every few seconds, claiming Mia had provoked her by running too close. The crowd murmured, some shaking their heads, others whispering to each other. Daniels, unimpressed, took notes as a second officer arrived to keep the onlookers at bay. The truth unraveled quickly. A teenage skateboarder, who'd been filming tricks nearby, had caught the whole thing on his phone. The video was damning. Karen's deliberate trip, Mia's fall, and Karen's fleeting smirk before the chaos erupted. Daniels watched the footage in silence, his jaw tightening. "Ma'am," he said, turning to Karen, "you're under arrest for assault." The word hit like a thunderclap. Karen's face drained of color, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "Assault? Are you kidding me? She's fine." "This is ridiculous." But the cuffs were already out, glinting in the morning sun. As Daniels led Karen to the patrol car, the crowd's whispers grew louder. Some cheered quietly for justice. Others shook their heads, muttering about Karens and their endless drama. Mia, still shaken, declined medical attention but accepted a water bottle from a sympathetic bystander. She watched as Karen, now in the back of the squad car, continued to rant, her voice muffled but her indignation clear. For Mia, it wasn't just about the foul, it was the sheer malice of it. The unprovoked attack from a stranger who decided she was the enemy. The news spread like wildfire. By evening, the video was trending on X, tagged with Karen in the park and justice for Mia. Local blogs picked it up, spinning headlines like, "Suburban Mom's Park Meltdown Ends in Handcuffs." Karen's carefully curated image, her book club presidency, her HOA tyranny, her Instagram posts about living her best life, crumbled overnight. Her husband, a quiet accountant who'd long tolerated her outbursts, bailed her out, but the silence between them on the drive home was deafening. Their teenage daughter, mortified, refused to leave her room. Karen's court date was a spectacle. The small-town courthouse was packed with reporters, curious locals, and Mia, who sat in the front row, her face unreadable. Karen's lawyer argued it was a momentary lapse, a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Karen herself took the stand, tears streaming, claiming she'd felt threatened by Mia's aggressive running. The judge wasn't buying it. The video, played on a courtroom screen, spoke louder than her sobs. Karen was found guilty of misdemeanor assault, sentenced to community service, and ordered to pay Mia's medical bills and court fees. But the real punishment wasn't the law, it was the fallout. Karen's neighbors stopped waving. Her book club forgot to invite her to meetings. Her daughter's friends whispered Karen, like it was a slur. Mia, meanwhile, became a reluctant hero, her story resonating with anyone who'd ever crossed paths with unchecked entitlement. She used the attention to start a local running group, turning her pain into something positive. Karen, on the other hand, retreated inward, her confidence shattered, her name now a punchline. Months later, Karen was spotted in Willow Park again, picking up trash as part of her community service. Her white athleisure was gone, replaced by a fluorescent vest that screamed defeat. She kept her head down, avoiding eye contact with the joggers and families who passed by. Some pitied her, others smirked. Mia ran by that day, her stride as steady as ever, but she didn't glance at Karen. She didn't need to. The park had moved on, but Karen was stuck, tethered to a moment of her own making. The story of Karen and Mia isn't just about a trip in a park, it's about what happens when resentment festers, when small slights become big battles, and when people forget that actions have consequences. It's a mirror held up to a world where grudges can turn strangers into enemies in seconds. Was Karen's punishment fair? Or did the court of public opinion hit harder than it should have? Share your thoughts. Where do you draw the line between justice and vengeance?